Storytime in the meantime.
Storytime in the meantime.
Storytime in the meantime. I mean,
And welcome back to Storytime in the meantime.
welcome back. Well, actually, we are rolling.
Oh, we're rolling right now? Is the camera rolling?
I'm pretty sure the camera's rolling. Should I go check?
Yeah, go check. I mean, is there any indication to see from the panel we can see? I can definitely see that we're rolling. We're sound speed. Are we rolling? We are rolling? Okay. Well, in that case, hello. Well, I guess technically this is episode 1 because of the technical difficulties last week.
Yeah. Technically, this is episode 1.
Okay, well, technically, welcome back.
Technically, welcome back. But also,
officially,
welcome.
Welcome.
Hello, actually.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Storytime with Sarthak and Chase.
Storytime in the meantime, because we still don't know if that's the actual name.
Yeah, Storytime in the meantime.
I actually kind of like that name the more we say it. Storytime in the meantime.
Storytime in the meantime, where in the meantime we just talk about stories.
Yeah. Well, stories and movies. In particular, movies.
Yeah, particular movies.
Stories that are made into movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll sometimes talk about bad movies, but most of the time it's just going to be good movies.
Yeah, definitely just good movies.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about bad movies.
Well,
actually, no, sometimes maybe we'll talk about bad movies. I think it's good to talk about bad movies.
Yeah, it's good.
What's a bad movie in your opinion?
Oh, man.
We have affiliations with nobody. Nobody wants to do anything with us, so we can just free reign.
Yeah, we get free reign. We can talk. We can say whatever we want. We can shit on whoever.
Yeah.
Man, okay, what's a bad movie to me? I think a bad movie to me, I mean, there's different categories, but like off the rip, a bad movie is one where any blockbuster movie
is a bad movie.
That any blockbuster movie is a bad movie. End of the episode. Handles that right there. We're no any blockbuster movie that pushed itself to release too early.
I see.
That's a bad movie.
I see.
I mean, usually casting goes through so many people that unless they're getting somebody that's like written for a part, like it's really hard for me to look at.
Okay, first of all,
actors.
Before we get, sorry to cut you off, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I think we should introduce who we are because I don't think we said who we were.
Oh, this is the first episode. Let's do that.
Okay, so you want to go first?
Sure. Hello, everyone out there. My name is Chase Mersberg. I am a struggling actor. And I like movies.
And my name is Sarthak, and I'm somewhat of a struggling filmmaker. A little established, I guess, some work, but very much struggling. My bank balance would say so.
Yeah, my wallet says I'm struggling, but my soul says
But I also love movies, just like Chase, and we both love movies. So we decided to do a podcast about and for movies.
Yeah,
right.
And I mean, yeah, we just sit here and chat about stuff that we love, and
which was what we did last week. But unfortunately, that episode got trashed by a power surge.
Yeah, Mother Nature was like, we don't need you guys on the air.
Yeah. So we're technically re-recording, but also just recording a second episode. That's going to be the first episode.
Yeah. So we're back.
Like we said earlier, we're back, but welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Welcome back. Welcome. Welcome back. Welcome.
Yeah. And we had...
Should that be the name of the podcast?
Welcome back. Welcome. Welcome to Welcome Back. Welcome.
But yeah, so you were saying that to get the right person for the part, they go through so many different people that
for the most part, yeah, like casting.
That's the word I was looking for.
They see like quite legitimately thousands of headshots,
especially for a blockbuster movie.
Oh yeah,
definitely in thousands.
Yeah, and we'll narrow it down to like, I don't know, 20 people per part, and then field auditions. And I mean, with a lot of things, they're probably reaching out to people, and they have some major A-listers in mind where they're like, this person's, I feel like, would be perfect for this part, so it's written for them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's hit or miss, right? Sometimes you get things like I don't know, you get things like Tom Cruise playing an Irishman with a terrible bad accent. I can't remember the name of film.
He played an Irishman?
Yeah, we're just gonna forget that ever happened.
Okay.
Or like Tom Cruise playing samurai in
The
Last Samurai.
The Last Samurai.
Yeah.
I remember that. I don't think I actually ever saw the movie, but
yeah. I'm gonna really, really, really hope that he was written for that part, and they
speaking of Tom Cruise,
audition him for it.
Did you see the kind of trailer / behind the scenes that they dropped of the new Impossible movie?
There's another one.
There's another one. I think it's the 7th one that was supposed to come out 2 years ago, but then COVID happened, so it got postponed. Now it's coming out in July of 2023. But they dropped this behind the scenes of a 10-minute video on YouTube of basically the biggest stunt in the movie, or according to them, the biggest stunt ever done in movie production, where Tom Cruise jumps off this ramp on a bike into a what's it called? A basin, basically, in the mountains. What's it called? Where people
Like a canyon?
Yeah, like in a canyon. What are the people who fly off in jumpsuits?
Wingsuits.
What do they usually jump? Like, what's that sport called? Isn't like jump?
I don't know, wingsuiting?
Is it called wingsuiting? I mean, regardless, but like that's the stunt. The stunt is him jumping off.
He goes off on a bike and then pulls out a wingsuit.
No, he just has a parachute on, but he jumps off a bike. And here, I'm gonna pull it up actually.
Into a canyon.
Into a canyon, and they dropped that as like a behind the scenes, kind of promoting the movie as well. They're basically
like, here's 55-year-old Tom Cruise.
Dude, it's actually insane though, because that man, he still, like, he's 55, 56, does all his stunts, and it looks insane. It looks how...
I mean, on the one hand, wild props to him for getting the training and doing all those things. On the other hand, I would hate to be Tom Cruise's stuntman.
I mean, I don't think there is one, right?
I don't know. I don't know if he does all of his own stunts.
I think so. That's kind of one of his selling points, or like pride thing for him, is like he does.
Seems like a lot.
It is.
Like
it is. But this is
like some things I'd be like, that seems really cool. I would love to do that. And on the other things, I'd be like, as an actor, my job is to like act.
Well, he's acting to the point where he's actually doing it.
Yeah.
Still acting, which is another level. But yeah, I agree. The stuntman, if there was a stuntman, he would be very mad.
I'd be pissed, bro. I'd be pissed.
Here, this is the...
This is far and away the most dangerous thing we've ever attempted.
He jumps off that into the basin.
What?
Yeah.
They shoot it in Norway. There would be a motorcycle jump off a cliff into a base jump.
Base jump. That's what a base jumping.
He's base jumping.
Yeah. That's the sport. I was like, we're not basing. Base jump.
There's a lot going into this stunt. So Tom put together this master plan to coordinate all of these experts.
Oh my God.
The particular disciplines involved to make this whole thing happen. John and I are jumping out of the helicopter. He's gonna
At this point, it's not even acting.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
This is just a professional doing their job, not in the acting sense, but in like a...
He became a base jumper.
Yeah, he just...
He's just a glorified stuntman.
I was going to say, he's just the most expensive stuntman ever. Which is funny because, like, excluding the most recent Top Gun... Can we mute that?
Yeah.
Excluding, like, the most recent Top Gun movie...
Yeah.
Tom Cruise...
I actually still haven't seen that, by the way.
If he ever sees this, I'll never be able to work.
Bro, he's not going to see this. He's never going to see
He'll see it.
There's no way Tom Cruise ever sees this.
In like 10 years, when
this is going
when I get to go and work with Tom Cruise, he's gonna be like, I'm gonna show up on set, he's gonna kick me off day one and be like, I remember this fucking asshole. You shit on my movie.
Yeah, I remember you on Storytime In The Meantime.
Yeah, he's like, I listened to your podcast, you loser.
But then, is he the loser because he's listening to our podcast?
Well, no, because our podcast is amazing.
Okay, fair enough.
But
you heard here first. Our podcast is amazing.
Aside from like the most recent Top Gun movie, Tom Cruise is...
I mean, he was good in A Few Good Men, I'd say. That's one of my favorite movies. Not favorite movies, but it's a really good movie that I like.
That's a really good movie.
He's really good in it. Jack Nicholson's really good in it.
Well, Jack Nicholson's amazing.
He's just good in everything.
I'm trying to say Jack Nicholson's, I think, one of the best actors.
Yeah,
that has ever.
I'd agree. So
yeah,
he's really good at what he does.
Tom Cruise plays a very strong typecast.
I almost said Time Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise essentially, in a way, just plays himself in every movie, just like The Rock.
Yeah, which I mean, like I said, acting is so difficult that it's like if you are lucky enough to get typecast as yourself, honestly, like
that is true. Like
that's how you start. That's how you definitely start getting into movies. And there's some actors that they get typecast and they play into that and fit that super well.
Yeah,
and some of them are super comfortable with that and are just like, this is what I enjoy doing. It's being me. I don't want to be anything other than myself.
But then it's kind of interesting though, then, because you get into acting to play other characters, right?
Oftentimes, yeah. I mean, that's why I do it. I do it because I love playing characters, and I love the challenge of taking on another character, something that's
new to you.
Yourself. Yeah, that's new to you.
Yeah, you get to explore it.
Exactly. And you get to kind of deep dive into like what makes this person this person.
Make believe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's bringing those childhood ambitions to fruition.
Yeah.
You need to share that with everybody. And granted, to Tom Cruise's defense, even though he plays a very similar part of himself in all these different movies that he's been in over the years, there's different aspects of things, but you're right. There is this very strong part of himself that is in all these movies. I've yet to see him. He's not a character actor. Like
I wouldn't say so.
Like Johnny Depp is a character actor. Philip Seymour Hoffman is a character actor.
Yeah.
Like I would never see Tom Cruise pull up in Star Wars. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
I mean, Tom Cruise is also one of the last superstars to exist. Wouldn't you say so?
What do you mean, like to exist? Like there's not anymore?
I mean, now everyone is like famous. Like people have like followings on social media and they're famous in their own little niche world. But like no one's like as big as like what Tom Cruise used to be in the 90s or like early 2000s. Like I think he might have been like the last like big superstar, like heartthrob.
I mean, there's people like his age.
But I'm saying like that generation was basically the last one, I think.
Yeah,
because
I would agree. Like, there's
maybe
it's so niche now. Because
maybe Zac Efron. Like,
I mean, maybe when we were just because of High School Musical.
I guess we were just kids. But like maybe that generation. Like, who else is in that generation of
like
class?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, but like he was
Viola Davis.
I mean, but they weren't like on Tom Cruise level though. Like that's what I'm saying, right?
I mean, I would throw
Robert
Downey Jr. on Tom Cruise. I mean, there was the period with Robert Downey Jr. taking a hiatus from movies for a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about, I guess now with Iron Man and Marvel, he's probably well known around the world.
Oh yeah,
but like up till the Marvel series,
no, that was right. It was so much louder than I thought that would be. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I mean, this is insane.
It's wild.
This is insane.
It actually is like
he's gonna jump off, and he did that 5 times to get the perfect shot. Then just in one day, I'm pretty sure he did more.
If you do it once, right? Like,
but how thrilling is that? You're scared of heights, are you?
No. I would. Okay.
You're just scared of spiders.
Yeah, it's just the spiders.
I'm gonna let the whole world.
Spiders on heights, I would be afraid of heights.
Okay.
Because there'd be spiders.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So actually, spiders in confined spaces where I can't escape, that would be like peak worst.
Or you can't escape, or the spider can't escape.
Yeah, either or. Yeah, either. Primarily me escaping.
Okay.
Yeah. That'd be a fast.
What if the spider's scared of you?
Well, I don't care. I'm scared of it. So. But I digress.
Fair enough.
We did have an intention to talk about a specific movie today.
That is true. We just watched. Well, I didn't finish it because I fell asleep watching it because it was very late at night. I apologize.
I watched. because it was a great movie.
We're talking about the new Knives Out movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knives Out. What is it? Knives Out, a Glass Onion mystery.
Yeah, I think Glass Onion Mystery. That's what it's called.
It's a Glass Onion something or other. Yeah, it's Knives Out, the glass onion.
Yeah, Glass Onion.
A Glass Onion.
Yeah, Glass Onion.
Glass Onion. Yeah, Glass Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. I think that's what it is.
Yep, exactly. That's
but
just dropped on Netflix last night.
It was in theaters for a week,
which is insane. That it was only in the theaters for a week. Apparently, a lot of new movies are doing that, where they're only in theaters for 1 or 2 weeks, and then they're going straight to streaming.
Yeah, it's been a push primarily from the cast. Because,
I haven't read into it at all. I don't know why that's a thing, but I just find that odd. But I guess it makes sense in terms of like box office and like
because
business side of things.
Yeah, for from the actor's perspective, box office, like if you don't release on the box office and you go straight to streaming, you technically get put in a different category for awards. So not only like does it affect when it comes around to awards season, but also primarily in contracts, a lot of your royalty money and a lot of your payments going to come from box office numbers and like the overall perspective of like, how did your movie do? And how did, like when people see a movie and they're like, they see something on your resume and you're like, oh my God, you were in this. Like it's going to be from box office stuff, box office numbers, like, box office numbers, and that affects like how you get paid and how you set yourself up for the future and how you negotiate contracts in the future.
I see.
And so
I have no idea about any of that.
Yeah. And so with what Netflix wanted to do is they wanted to, they're a streaming platform. They've openly said like, we make movies for our subscribers and we release things on Netflix, and the cast fought really, really hard to get it.
So this was supposed to be a Netflix movie that ended up being in the theaters.
Yeah, it was like an appeasement thing, where it was like we don't want to release this on in the box office, but because you guys have fought so hard against it, we'll put it in there for a select amount of time, and then
that's interesting.
And then pull it and move it. That's why I was so pissed, because
it would have been a good movie to watch in the theaters.
I actually wanted to watch it so bad in theaters.
Like the last movie I saw in the theaters was the new Marvel movie, the Black Panther 2.
That might have been the last one I saw in theaters.
And I did not enjoy it.
Really?
Yeah.
What about it didn't you enjoy?
I just didn't enjoy it as well. Of course, I'm comparing it to the first one, right? Because it's, there's just, I don't know. There was just something. I feel like Marvel movies now are just like so predictable.
Yeah.
Like the dialogue was to me very mid, and just like surface level, and not that much like impactful or like that much meat to the dialogue. It was just very surface level things that were being said, and they were so surface level that at some points where there were serious points in the movie, I actually found myself giggling or laughing because of how cliche and cringy the dialogue was. In the moment. Okay. It was that predictable that I was like, oh no way. Like it's just like, it's almost funny because it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
They've
gotten really copy pasty.
Yeah.
Which,
with like every movie, it's essentially like the 3 acts. You can kind of like go through them, that what's going to happen. Oh, like there's a conflict, and there's like, oh, there will be like some action scenes, and then there's like, oh, somewhat resolved, but not really. And then there's a final big end action scene, which kind of resolves everything. And then there's a cliffhanger at the end after the credits, another scene, and then you're waiting for the next movie.
Yeah, and they've been doing this for a while now.
They've been doing this for the last 3 years since after Endgame.
Endgame? Okay. Sorry, Marvel, but you guys.
Well, sorry, Knives Out.
Oh yeah,
we'll come back to it.
Knives Out, you're safe from this. Yeah, I thought you were great.
We'll come back to it.
I'm
just saying sorry, Knives Out, because we started talking about Knives Out, but we're now just talking about Marvel.
We're gonna Marvel. You will not escape my gaze. I am. My brother and I have talked about this to no end.
Yeah.
Marvel has just shit the bed out of, and I think
Yeah.
it's out of fear of like they are so afraid to, and Hollywood in general, but especially Disney and Marvel, they are so afraid to take risks on original ideas that it's like, I mean, granted, you are copying something that Stanley has written, but you're also,
I guess,
not staying true to the comics. So you're like, you're being original, but not in a.
Aren't they also like in their like the fourth phase of whatever? So I guess it's somewhat. I can give them somewhat of a leeway that they're like setting up for like this new fourth phase of the Marvel universe.
I mean, but you're Disney and Marvel. Like, again, this is circling around to what I think a bad movie is. I think if you're copying,
that was a bad movie. That was a blockbuster bad movie.
Marvel has zero excuses to put out movies that aren't just slammingly amazing.
Yeah, but like at the same time, they have zero excuses to put out something great because they know people are going to eat it up.
Exactly.
And that's going to make them money.
That is why they can settle for, quite frankly, they can settle for mediocrity. I'm not talking about the actors. I'm talking like the writing and the plot line in general.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a huge fan of of the actors that are in those movies. That was like my child, like was like my teenage years, like when Iron Man and everything first came out. Oh my god. And like Black Panther has been my favorite superhero since like I started reading comic books as a kid. Like, it felt like, because nobody knew about him as a kid, and so everybody was like, I love Spider-Man, like, I love Iron Man, and I was like, well, the Black Panther is really cool. He's a panther, and I was like, and no one else knows about him, so it felt like my own personal little superhero. But again, beside the point. Like the acting's great. The
acting. The thing is, the dialogue makes the acting look bad.
Yes,
that's what it came across to me. Like, it doesn't make it necessarily bad, but it just makes it cheesy and like cringy to the point where it seems like it's just not great acting. Yeah. But I don't blame the actors because
I've seen them in other things. And I'm like, I know you're a good actor, so I know it's not you. Yeah. And so then I listen to like the actual writing and the plot, and I look at the overall story.
Yeah, like Martin Friedman. He's the CIA guy, right? He's amazing. I love him as an actor, but like even him, like I'm like the dialogue is just like so surface level. That I'm just like, it's okay, like, cool. It's all right. It's not it wasn't like necessarily bad movie, but it wasn't like what I was hoping for, especially for like everything around that movie. With like Chadwick Boseman's death and like all of that. Like I was just expecting it to be such a like big movie that it didn't exceed, or it didn't even meet the expectations I had, let alone exceed.
I tried to go in with no expectations.
Yeah.
And even then I've been getting hit with the classic, like, if I look at it objectively, it's a decent movie.
Oh yeah. And
I'm like, if I look at it from the perspective of this is Disney and this is Marvel, I'm like, that's a bad movie. It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Like, if you sit down and you think about like, okay, across the board, what are like the groundbreaking Marvel movies?
I'd say Iron Man. Yeah.
Iron Man. When that first, like that first, boom,
definitely,
that blew everything up.
Yeah. The first Iron Man,
the first Avengers, I would make a case for, with like bringing everybody together. It was kind of like that was an initial first culmination, because there was no, up to that point there had been no, to my knowledge, like there was all these standalone movies in Marvel,
that was the first
DC.
one where the Avengers come together.
And it was the first movie of like bringing all of these massive names of A-list movies and superheroes together in one film. And so that was from a climactic standpoint, that was really cool. After that, like Thor Ragnarok was really good because I thought it was hilarious.
That was a very funny
movie. I just thought it was a very funny movie. Like I thought it was well done because of how funny it was.
Even the recent Thor that came out, what was it called?
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder. I thought that was also funny, but at the same time I felt the same way about it. Like I felt for Black Panther too. Where it was the dialogue was very surface level and it was very predictable. And it's just the recent Marvel movies have made me feel like that, and I'm just like, that kind of sucks, because I didn't really get into Marvel until later in high school. So the first Iron Man and like Captain America movies, I didn't watch the first ones in theater. I think the first Iron Man I saw in theater was Iron Man 3,
Oh, wow. Okay.
which came out my senior year of high school, I think.
Yeah.
And then Winter Soldier was the first Captain America movie I saw in the theater.
Okay.
So I had missed all the earlier ones in theater, so I had to go back and watch them, and then I really got into it.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, this is new universe and new movies that like everything's connected. It's so cool because I also never read comics growing up.
Okay.
So I literally knew nothing. I knew that they were based on comics. Of course, I know who Stan Lee is.
Right.
I loved Spider-Man growing up as a kid, but I loved the Spider-Man movie, like the original, like Tobey Maguire.
One. Yeah.
But I never read the comics. So I was like, oh, this is a cool universe to explore. Like these movies are great too, and I love movies. But now it's just I don't feel like that when a Marvel movie comes out.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like
that excitement's
the
gone.
worst part about it is, and what infuriates me actually is they know exactly what they're doing. Like it's not like they took a bunch of risks and things didn't pan out.
Yeah,
and they were like, you know what, we tried something new. We're a low budget production company.
Yeah,
we took a shot and we had an original idea and it didn't.
That
pan
is
out.
infuriating.
They're like we have this. It's like Marvel and DC. It's like we have one of the most well-known comic book series in our ability to produce. On the face of this earth.
Yeah.
And they're like, they know exactly how widespread it is. And they're like, we know that no matter how this like turns out, like whether this movie is a complete flop and is awful, they're like, we don't have to take risks and to do anything outside the box to be original because we know people will come and see it.
Yeah.
And so it's just like we can get.
It's almost a money grab.
It is. That's what it feels like, and that's why it's so infuriating for me. Is like these movies have touched so many people's lives over the years that it's like they have the potential very easily with just a little bit of risk and some effort to be for every single one of these movies to be astounding and to just be like record-setting, groundbreaking, amazing movies. Yeah. But because they can get away with it with mediocrity, they're doing it. Yeah. Because they can just dump money into it, show up with the superheroes, have a surface level script that doesn't take a lot of since Iron Man, they can copy and paste Iron Man and in different formats and re-release it over and over again until they come up with another Avengers movie, and it works. Yeah. It works from the sense of like people are going to come and see it. That's sad. It's super sad. It's like sad. The last for me, the last really solid Marvel movie was Endgame. And that was because it was like it wasn't your classic superhero Cinderella story movie. No. It was the bad guys won. Yeah. Thanos won. Yeah. And it's like,
wait, wasn't Endgame? Wait, what?
Endgame's
the third one?
Yeah, because it goes like Avengers, then Age of Ultron. Yeah. And then Endgame.
And then
Infinity War.
Oh, Infinity War.
I hated Infinity War.
It's weird.
3 minutes into Infinity, I'll come back to Infinity War. But with Endgame, I'll start with what I like. I liked Endgame because it was like the first Marvel movie across the board where
the bad guy wins.
Yeah, bad guy wins.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
and
that was looking back at it, that was really cool.
I mean, it pissed off so many people because they killed 50% of everything. Yeah, they just
they took Spider-Man away.
Yeah, all of these A-list movie stars just wiped him off the face. Wiped him off the face of the earth. Yeah, or the face of existence, really, and just gone. Yeah, and I was like, okay,
that's pretty. Yeah,
when I walked out of that movie, gnarly, and everybody was like, I cannot believe they did that. I was like, okay, on the one hand, from the business standpoint of things, I don't see Marvel leaving everybody dead. Because there's too much money left on the table.
There's no way that would kill all the characters. There's no way. Yeah.
I was like, if you want to make an amazing franchise from this, and especially the funny thing is with everything they're doing now, they should have left everybody dead. Like, no, I mean, like, in all seriousness, think about this. They got rid of...
Yeah, you're correct.
They got rid of so many people to bring them back, to kill them immediately.
Yeah.
And then now they've opened things up to the multiverse. And it's like, what they should have done was, after Thanos wins, you don't get all those people back. Like, okay, those people, you lose out on those contracts or whatever, you got to renegotiate contracts, and you bring them back in like spin-off series of TV shows and whatever. You do whatever, but you don't bring those characters back, and you don't do Infinity War, because then you have this thing set up for
you
all
didn't
of
like
these...
you didn't like Infinity War because they brought them back.
I hated that. From 3 minutes into the movie, as soon as Ant-Man showed back up, as soon as Ant-Man came out of the quantum realm, I was like, I know exactly where you guys are going.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate you. I hate you for doing this.
But there were so many things about that movie that were still so cool though. Like at the end,
Don't get me wrong.
Like the end scene.
It was cool. Like
the end scene
the
where
combat was like, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cinematographic. It's cool.
Yeah.
But from a plot standpoint, it was just like, it screamed cash grab. And it screamed like, I was like, you know what? You guys have such a ability now.
I mean, but there was also like the loose end of like, I mean, with any story, unless most stories, the bad guy loses.
Oh, yeah.
95% of stories, the bad guy loses.
Well, I think if you continue every story out long enough, the bad guy loses in the end. Like, like there's those instances.
I mean, it depends. I mean, there's definitely some movies where like that's the end and that's it.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Anarchy is the winner.
This ends in chaos.
Yeah. Like Fight Club, I guess in a way, kind of ends, right? That's like everything burning down and that's it. And it's poetic in a way.
Yeah. It's,
right?
Yeah.
But with like a big ass franchise as Marvel, there's no way that they're going to sit on just the end guy win the bad guy winning.
Yeah.
So like they could, but like you knew that they were gonna come back, and like it creates excitement too, though, because it's like, oh, what's gonna happen in the next one? Because you know for a fact that they're not gonna let the bad guy just win like that.
No, exactly. Like so that's why like they created that excitement about it, and you leave that movie and you're like, oh my god, no way. But like the way that you continue that and you take that risks is, you don't feed into that trope of the stereotype. We're like,
so would you have wanted what was the last one called again?
Infinity War?
Infinity War. Would you have just wanted it to be starting like everybody not come back and it's just whoever's left behind?
100%.
It's just they fight Thanos, like they go for revenge, but they kill him, but they're not able to still bring back.
Yeah, you're not able to get those people back. Like you need to go about, and because think about it this way. Because
they killed Thanos off very early in the movie, if I remember correctly.
They had the whole where they killed the now Thanos because he was just like, I'm done. I've done my part. And then they they do the whole time loop thing, and then it's like,
and then
Thanos
they go back to
past
and then the
comes to Thanos now, and so they kind of like, they still fight Thanos, but the Thanos that they fought the first time is
they fight the Thanos who they're fighting at the end of Endgame, like the end of
or throughout Endgame, like that
throughout and at the end of Infinity War, it's the same battle scene as Endgame, right?
Yeah, it's like the original Thanos.
Yeah.
Who didn't achieve his mission?
Yeah,
is like, other me got this.
But then they killed Tony Stark.
See that? Okay, so there are that's what I'm saying. Like there are some things.
That's such an iconic scene, though.
That was really. I'm like, I shed tears.
I am
like,
Iron Man.
Yeah, I was like that. Very props. Very well done. I was like,
and like Captain America
retired, or like,
him retiring,
went old and lived.
I know,
out
but like
his life.
when he picks up Thor's hammer and chucks it across, it's so cool.
See, so like they could have, but that's the thing is like they could have had all of those things without bringing people back.
No, but
they could have still had all those.
Did Captain America also disappear in the?
Yeah, he went back in time and then lived out his life.
No.
Like because he's old. He like
no, he's old at the very end when they retire his character.
Yeah, because he went back in time and didn't come back
Endgame,
with
who
them.
all got disappeared? Like, did Captain America get disappeared too?
No, he was left.
He was left.
Yeah.
Who all disappeared? I know Spider-Man did because
Vision dies.
Vision dies because he gets the stone removed. Spider-Man,
Black Panther.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot. Nick Fury.
Nick Fury goes away. Yeah.
I mean, like there was a lot.
There was a lot.
But like at the same time, with what they're doing now, right? They've opened up the multiverse.
If we're sorry, I'm gonna take a complete tangent. It came into my mind. I have to. What the fuck is the deal with Hawkeye? I never understood that character.
Hawkeye?
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner?
Yeah, but like just in the Marvel movie, like I never got his character.
He's like
what does he do? Like, what does he even do?
Modern day Legolas. He's the counterpart to Black Widow.
I know.
They're both like the most powerfully trained assassins that can somehow hold their own against superheroes.
I mean, don't look into it. I get Black Widow, but like
really, you do? Black Widow uses guns and he uses this overpowered bow. Like they're the same.
Yeah.
It's just because Scarlett Johansson wears a skin-tight leather suit. That's the only difference. If Jeremy Renner were to wear a skin-tight leather suit, actually, he basically does.
He basically does. Well, he was sleeveless.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's so he can free up his arms for all the bow slinging. Yeah, all the bow slinging.
Bowing.
Yeah.
Called it bowing.
Archery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's enough about Marvel. Should we get back to Knives
No,
Out?
I want to finish this out.
Okay, go for it. We can make this a Marvel episode.
Off on my tangent.
We can make this a Marvel episode.
Because I want Marvel to hear me. I want some Marvel execs to listen to this.
And you think
you guys failed with Infinity War. Listen to me. Everything you guys are doing now with the multiverse, and you guys are opening things up with the Miles Morales and all the Spider-Man animations, and you guys have opened up the Loki season and bringing in like all of the different cons and like the Doctor Strange multiverse of madness. You guys they've opened, like, if you follow the comic books, you knew they were going to come to this point. So it's like, why would you go about bringing back everybody again when you gave yourself the perfect, basically what Marvel did that they missed on was they gave themselves a perfect layup to introduce an entirely new generation of superheroes.
Get away from the comics, basically, you're saying.
I mean, either get away from the comics, or you bring in all of your next gen superheroes that you're trying to do now. Your Miles Morales, your, like, rather than going back in time to try and to bring back the same Spider-Man to then bring in another Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You do the Doctor Strange multiverse stuff earlier. You break
That's another movie that sucked that I saw in the last year.
Yeah.
The second Doctor Strange. Yeah. I loved the first Doctor Strange. The second one, same thing. It sucked.
The Multiverse of Madness, that one?
Yeah, sucked.
I liked it. Surprisingly, I liked the latter half of it where it changed from the stereotypical Marvel movie into like a horror film. Where they just like Wanda just on a whim goes full blood murdery.
Didn't like it.
And okay.
Didn't like it. It was just too predictable. Same thing.
Really?
Surface level.
Even with her going on her like murderous rampage?
Yeah. I mean, from the starting of the movie, she's just like,
that's fair. Like you know, was I guess the part that surprised, like, I knew it was gonna happen. Like, I knew she was gonna get to that point. But the part that surprised me was the fact that they allowed it to be graphic, because Marvel's family oriented.
Oh yeah.
That's why I liked it, because they leaned into the. I mean, like, she ripped Doctor Strange to shreds.
Yeah, made him into skeleton and all that.
Yeah, she, like, the Captain America got chopped in half.
Yeah.
Like, what's his face? The whispering dude, his head imploded.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
it was pretty graphic.
I was like, all of the, like, that's, oh, and she, like, full on snapped Charles Xavier's neck.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, that's another tangent we can go down of like,
Yeah.
Marvel should
going into more.
If Marvel were to take a risk like what DC allowed Christopher Nolan to do with the Dark Knight trilogy.
I mean, but that wasn't really DC allowing it. I mean, the Nolan movies were completely separate from DC.
Yeah.
It's just that it is a DC character. It's just some guy who comes in and is like, I want to make a movie with this character, but I want nothing. Like, he didn't want anything to do
100%.
with DC's universe.
Yeah. He was like, I'm doing my own universe. He's like, I've got my own take. And again, original concept.
Yes.
Like, he was like, what if I took all of the dark things that happen in DC and I leaned into it? And he was like,
yeah.
Marvel has an easily open opportunity to do. I'm not saying copy Christopher Nolan. I mean, you could, but they have an opportunity to take risks and to lean into some other things and run some.
That's a difference, but though, like DC and Marvel, they're superhero franchises, like that universe. There's very much about like Christopher Nolan's a storyteller. He just used a character from a superhero universe to make it into an actual movie. Like, there wasn't any crazy superhero stuff in the movie.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't a superhero movie.
Yeah, there's no superficial, like superfiction or superfiction. Is that a word?
Sure.
Fiction, just
it's
fiction. Elevated.
Fiction. Overly fictional.
There's no like fictional stuff happening. It's very real life-ish. Of course. It's not real life, but like very much so, like
it's very
mundane.
Grounded.
Yeah, very grounded. Yeah. Which I like a lot more. Like, that's one of the reasons I think I initially didn't watch the first Iron Man or the first Marvel movies in theaters, because it's just complete fiction, you know. And
well, the first Iron Man movie,
I guess it was
very much.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think at the root
I'm
of
wrong
things,
about that. Yeah.
Why I dislike, or not dislike, because I still watch them, but like why I'm disappointed by so many of them is they're superhero movies.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with Iron Man, it wasn't a superhero movie. Like, Iron Man didn't get his suit till like. He had the very rudimentary one like halfway through the movie. He didn't get his actual suit till like the end of the movie. Like, it wasn't a superhero movie until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is, I think,
it was just a rich billionaire guy, kind of like Batman.
Yeah.
It was just
a great movie.
Yeah.
And then there happened to be superheroes. That's what Marvel's missing now. Now it's superhero movies. Now it's not great movies, and then there are superheroes.
That's a great point.
Now it's superhero combat movies.
Yeah, just superhero action movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, to me, that genre is just really off-putting.
Superhero movies.
Yeah, because it's just, there's no like great storyline.
Yeah.
Anymore.
I see that.
You know, there's just, it's all about the CGI being really good, the action scenes being really good, and then there's no room left for like an actual good storyline or a good script. Because at the end of the day, what a movie is, a good movie is a good script. It's a good story.
It's a good story. Yes, because that's where it starts. That's where it starts, and that's where
script
it ends.
is king.
Yeah.
At the literally bottom line.
Yeah. I mean, it's
at least in my opinion. I'm no one to say like I have very minimal experience in filmmaking. I'm trying to grow as a filmmaker, but from just being a consumer and lover of movies, growing up, and from what I've just picked up on, story and script is always the bones of a movie.
Yeah, it's for me, I see it as a collaboration of everything coming together.
Oh yeah, that's definitely there.
But
the spectacle is the collaboration of everyone coming together.
Yeah.
But the story at the end of the day has to be compelling.
Yes.
For it to be a good movie.
Yeah.
Because it can be a pretty movie, but a pretty movie might not be a good movie.
Yeah, and there are plenty of movies that I enjoy. I enjoyed watching because they looked cool.
Yeah, all Marvel movies look great.
Were great. Yeah,
they look great. All of them look great, but the recent ones definitely don't have the story, and it's sad. I don't like saying that, but that's kind of how I feel about them.
As a whole, they're missing that like they're missing the mark with like the vulnerability and that storytelling aspect. There are pieces like with Infinity War, like with Iron Man dying.
Yeah.
Whereas like I was like that was a piece where I was like, oh man.
Yeah, that's good
That was
writing.
really, really good.
That was
but
good writing.
as a whole, I was like, man, you guys have just missed the mark.
Yeah, that's sad. Oh well.
But who hasn't missed the mark
Yeah.
is the new
That's a great segue.
the new Glass Onion.
That's a great segue.
Knives Out movie.
Good shit.
That was
Good shit.
I thought that was very well done.
I haven't finished it, of course, because I fell asleep, like I said. But there's only 15 minutes of the movie left, and I'm pretty certain that most of it was I saw everything. I think there's one small twist at the end I'm expecting that I didn't get to.
From what you talked to me about off camera.
Well, first of all, I guess spoiler alert, because we're gonna be talking about the movie.
Oh yeah.
So if you haven't seen it,
if you haven't seen the movie yet,
pause.
Pause. Go watch the movie. Come back and
Yes.
watch the rest of this episode.
Yeah. So 3, 2, 1. Go ahead.
All right. Spoilers ahead.
Yeah.
With the last 15 minutes from where you've got from what you were talking to me about.
Yeah, because I
camera.
stopped. I think I fell asleep right when Daniel Craig's character Blanc is accusing Ed Norton's character Miles of basically committing all the murders that have taken place in the movie.
Yeah.
Batista's character Duke and what's the lady's name? The
Monet.
who's playing Andy? Monet. Yeah, Janelle. Janelle or Janelle?
Yes. Monet.
Andy, the character of Andy in the movie.
Yeah.
Who he tries to kill, but I guess he
didn't successfully.
Well, he initially at first though the first.
Well, yes, he successfully killed
Andy, but
I really hope that if you I really hope that you listen to the spoilers piece because then we're just ruining
the movie.
We're ripping through everything now.
Well, but not her twin sister who comes to the island.
Yes, not Helen.
Andy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not yes, he attempts to murder Helen.
Yeah.
Thinking it's Andy.
Well,
no, because
I haven't seen the end. I haven't seen the end.
Actually, because he actually killed Andy.
He did.
He went to her house and killed her.
So
I don't know. To get the note.
Okay, so I don't know for certain because I never finished it. That if he had actually killed Andy or not, because I was still suspect.
They never. The funny thing is like
they never tie that completely.
Well, I mean, they do because they're like
just like that scene of where Batista and him drive past each other. Is that them basically?
Yeah. That's like that confirmation because then Duke's dead, and then they're like
they don't go back to that.
They go back to mentioning it,
and
kind of like talking about clearing the air of like
how. Oh well, no, actually they
of like you were there, like
oh yeah,
you were seen.
I think I saw that scene where he is having coffee with her.
Yeah,
and he drugs the coffee.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, up to the point where I really enjoyed it.
I thought it was amazing, and I think one of the my favorite. If you have to see, in my opinion, you have to see both movies.
Yes.
Because
you have to. I think you need to understand what the first movie is like. For it kind of. It sets the tone for
the second one so well.
Yes.
And
because that was very much in rhythm of the first movie. It's not completely like the tone of the movie, the tonality is very much similar to the first one.
And that like if you the best part about it, right, is it's this detective thriller where you're sitting in there and they have you so invested where you're like I'm trying to solve this and figure it out and I think I have the answer and the best part about it is if you watch the second movie as a standalone film your initial intuition of you going Miles did it. Miles is like as soon as you start things out and you hear as soon as they all start talking about like how much they actually hate Miles and like all the shit he's done and everything, your initial instinct is like Miles is the murderer.
You were saying if you hadn't seen the first one?
Yeah. If you haven't seen the first one, your initial instinct and you stick to it, right? And you're like Miles is the killer for sure, 100%.
When would you say, if you haven't seen the first one, when would you make that assumption? Like middle of the movie?
Fairly early on. Like as soon as he
That's interesting.
I'm trying to remember like what part in the movie. I mean, I guess nobody actually dies, right? Until Duke dies.
Yeah.
That's like the first. But it's like if you haven't seen the first movie, as soon like you piece shit together. I mean, that's about halfway in the movie, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's like once stuff actually starts going down, you initially jump to Miles, and you're like, Miles is the guy. Like he is the killer.
But that you're saying that if you haven't seen the first one.
If you've seen the first movie, the way that the first, and this is like I'm gonna do my best to not go off on a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a strong believer that if you don't take risks, sequels don't turn out nearly as well as the original. It just ends up as a copy paste.
Mm-hmm.
Why I love this movie so much. Is that the director, Rian Johnson?
Yeah.
Well, did he direct the first one too?
Let's see. Looks like it.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
What I love about what Rian Johnson has done,
I think he wrote them both as well. Yeah, he's writer and director for both.
Is they took a risk, and not only did they take a risk, but they played off of the trope from the first movie,
which was
in the first movie when you watch Knives Out. And you have that in like once people start dying and you have that initial reaction of, oh, it's so obvious. Like this is the killer.
Which would be who?
I don't remember from the first movie.
I was trying to egg you on because I don't remember either. I was like trying to get it out from you.
I was trying to avoid it because I don't.
I was like, it's been a few years. I didn't rewatch it before watching this one.
I should have. I think I might go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, same.
But I remember watching the first film, and you get to that point through the movie, and it ends up being this wild goose chase because your initial instinct of like all of these things point towards this person.
Yeah, I think which was the her character, like Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it was it was like the love. It was the two of them. They were like in love or whatever.
Chris Evans
is what it ended up being.
I forget, dude. We should have watched it.
I know. But anyways, like but that's not your initial instinct. I totally forget who your initial instinct is for who you think does it.
Yeah.
But that person like either dies or they're like totally cleared.
Who
like,
ended up being the murderer?
I think it was Ana de Armas and whoever her lover is, which I think might have been Chris Evans. Yeah.
But he was the grandson.
Yes, I think it was them too.
Oh.
Yeah.
He killed his grandpa?
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, so like, yeah, because like initially your first instinct based on all the evidence and everything, you're like, this has to be the person.
Miles.
And then I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, no, you're still talking about the first one.
Sorry,
okay,
yeah, about the first one.
Sorry.
And you go through, right? And then you start learning all these different subtext pieces and these other clues. And you're like, the more as the movie progresses, you're like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. You're like, it's not my instinct.
Yeah.
And so then you're wrong by the like, I mean, or it's like super late in the movie before they reveal it, where you might be like, oh, I actually think I do know who it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But like that builds you up, right? And you're like, okay, my initial instinct is wrong. So you come into this second movie and you're like, okay, first movie, exactly who you thought it was going to be in the beginning, it can't be that. You're like, that's not how they do this. You're like, that's not how they write this movie.
Yeah.
And so you come into the second movie and they open up and in your face, they just blatantly like Edward Norton's character is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like he is just an idiot.
Yeah.
And he like everything he does is extravagant and stupid.
Yeah.
And you're just like, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
There's no like, you're like, I see what you're doing. You're trying to get me again. And he's like, I know it's not Miles. You're like, I know it's not Miles because in the first movie,
it's so much in your face.
Yeah. You're like, it's so much in your face. We're like, these are all the clues. And you're like, no, you're not going to get me again.
Yeah.
And so you jump to like, okay, who are these other people that have motives? And so you're going to like these off the book characters that are like, you're like, okay. Like for me, I thought it was whiskey for like a good portion of the movie.
I thought for a sec when Batista dies, when Duke dies, and Whiskey and Andy are nowhere to be seen in that room. They're in Blanc's like, where are they?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I was like, oh, I think it might be Whiskey. And she might have stolen his gun that Batista's character always has off him when she was like crying on his body. But yeah, I didn't really think it was Miles until I had an inclination though at first, because I was like, just because like he is like such a main character in the movie, that he might also, because like the initial like game of the movie is his murder. It's his murder.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think it might have to do something with either him killing himself or like faking his own death or something, or like something to do with him, because his character is just so, like you said, in your face.
Yeah.
That I really thought like he might be it, but then the movie just turns around completely. Because I really loved a part of right before the murder takes place is the way they played with the Mona Lisa like the painting.
Oh yeah,
using that as a character.
Yeah,
and the intense close-ups of closing and opening of the shield around Mona Lisa, just letting you know that it's coming,
that it's there. It's constantly there. Like every time that sound effect of that heavy glass slamming,
just opening and slamming. That it's like, and every single time it happened, I don't know if you picked up on this, but like it would zoom in slightly more on the Mona Lisa. It just kept going from wider to just more and onto it until Batista's character actually does that, because that's like the first actual death in the movie, or first death that they show.
The first. Yeah, he's the first real death.
Because Andy they never show until after.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. She's already dead.
Yeah.
Prior to the He's the first death at the island.
Yeah. Wait, is there more? Is it nobody else dies on that?
Oh,
right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, the part where they shoot Helen.
She survives.
She survived.
Yeah.
That one caught me off guard. That
she survived.
Well, no. Yes, that she survived, but also that like. I mean, there was literally no way. There were no clues for you to be like, she's got a twin sister.
Oh yeah,
like that one.
But it was interesting. Like, did you start thinking about when Blanc's character talks to Miles, being like, "Hey, like, why am I here?" And he's like, "Why are you here? I didn't invite you." He's like, "No, but I got a box."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, can you put back the box?" Because he was like, I only manufacture this many boxes. And he barely got it. The guy barely got it out on time. Like, and then he was like, can you put back the box together? Because it's this extravagant box where like it's like kind of like puzzles that you do to open.
Childish puzzles.
Yeah, the childish puzzles to like get to the actual letter that's inside the box, where it's like the invitation to the island for the weekend party, whatever. So he asks him, right? He's like, oh, can you put it back all together, that puzzle? Maybe somebody who you invited sent me the box after putting it all back together. And he's like, maybe. I mean, that's the only explanation. But later on, we learn that it's the twin sister who brings it to her.
Smashed box.
Yeah, smashed box, exactly. I found that very funny at the starting of the movie, though.
I thought it was hilarious. Also because like they were talking about like how Daniel Craig, like Blanc, just like sucks at all of like the super easy things, but all the really intricate tough things, he's just like, he's super. And he was like, oh, there's like these simple childish puzzles, and it was funny because like it took all four of them like struggling super hard to like solve it, and I was like, oh, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then I also got to say props on the actual murder mystery portion of like that in and of itself, the piece that Blanc solved in like.
Oh, you mean
30
like
seconds?
The fake.
Yeah, the fake.
His
with
own
the
murder.
crossbow and it being dirty and everything. I was like,
that was funny.
I was like, yo, that was
also really,
that was really, really well done. And that was like a 30-second, like he went through everything. And I was like, man, that could have been the movie easily.
Oh yeah, the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
If you just played it out, what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I really enjoy Daniel Craig's acting in both the movies, the first one and the second one.
I think he's a great actor.
Because being James Bond, it definitely put him in that box for the last 2 decades.
It's funny because I've seen him in other things.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I've loved him in. I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head, but it's one of my favorite movies I've seen him in. He plays a, like, not gangster, but what is it called?
When did it come out?
Like 2008.
2008.
Yeah, it's like an older movie.
Quantum of Solace.
It might have been before James Bond, or like in conjunction with James Bond.
This movie?
I mean, Defiance is a good movie. That's a great movie. But there was
How
another
to Lose
one.
Friends.
No.
The Golden Compass.
No.
Invasion. Infamous.
Maybe Infamous?
It's 2006.
I don't know. It was a movie where he was a... Oh, no, it might be later than Infamous. It might not. It might be more recent. Anyways, he was in a movie where he plays, like, he's in this like drug cartel, and he's like a by the book guy in the drug cartel and wants out. And he was like, I'm saving up this much money, and then I'm getting out. And that's it, and then I'll be that.
Was it Kings?
No.
Oh. But yeah,
it'll come to me. Anyways, yeah, he's. I mean, him in all of the, I mean, everything he's been in.
Yeah.
I think I don't know that I've really seen something where I was like,
yeah, no, he's great.
That's not great.
He's great.
But yeah, him. I mean, him. But yeah, him being stuck in the James Bond box for years.
He was my favorite
so
Bond, though.
long. Oh yeah,
he was definitely hands down my favorite
Yeah.
Bond.
I mean, it's also the one I grew up with. So
I guess, yeah,
I got a bias.
Yeah, but I mean, Casino Royale, the best Bond movie ever, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's such a great movie.
like Sean Connery. He has a cool voice.
Yeah,
but it's like Sean Connery has like that Sean Connery voice, and that's gonna be him forever.
Yeah.
Who was the one after him? Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan.
He was. I liked him too. But Daniel Craig.
Yeah, I
just
mean, Die Another Day was a good Bond movie. I remember watching that with my dad growing up. He used to watch that a lot, so that would always be on TV in our family, just in our house. So I remember that was a good movie. But Casino Royale is just such a great movie.
He's so good, and like Casino Royale,
It's his first movie as Bond, and it's just the story is just so like compelling.
Yeah,
so compelling.
He does such a good job, and it's like, and I mean, another reason why I like this movie so much is like that whole cast.
Oh yeah, it's an insane cast.
Like Edward Norton's another one of my favorite actors.
Yeah,
of
and
all
you
time.
don't see him in that many movies. He doesn't do
super recent, but everything he's in, he does a astounding job in. Like,
I mean, of course, Fight Club.
Oh God, Fight Club is one of my favorites of all time. I mean, another movie he's in that I love was The Illusionist, where he plays.
Never mind. I guess I take it back. He has been a working actor. He does do a lot of things. I just don't see them.
Does a lot of things, but if you just don't see it, I didn't know he was in Sausage Party.
Oh, I didn't. I guess he's Sammy's voice in that.
Oh,
I never ended up watching Sausage Party.
It's a movie. Oh, that's right. He's in The French Dispatch. I still haven't seen that yet.
There's a lot of movies that we need to watch, and then we'll probably. I think this podcast is great in that sense that I will get to watch more movies again.
Oh yeah,
because recently, for the last few years, I've been just so consumed with YouTube, which is funny because like this is gonna go on YouTube and this is a podcast, and I've been consumed with podcasts on YouTube and like just YouTube videos that I haven't found myself watching that many movies, and I kind of miss that. So this is a good excuse to watch more movies, to talk about them, critique them, break them down, analyze them, and I think that's kind of what our plan is with this podcast, right?
Yes. Yeah. I keep forgetting this is the first episode.
Because we never really explained. We did explain what this podcast we're trying to do with this podcast last episode that we recorded last week, which ended up getting trashed. So I think we should let our 1 or 2 audience members know that what they can expect from us weekly.
On a weekly basis, where we're going to be going through, and as long as, I mean, we'll go off on tangents and talk about the movies and movies in general, and just like storytelling and like how you tell a good story, what makes a good story
To us, because we're not experts.
Yeah, to us, we are experts. Our word is law. But I mean, yeah, like what makes a good story from our aspect, and from a viewer standpoint, and from 2 critical thinkers that spent a lot of time in non-creative fields.
Yeah.
And then like combining that with the creative arts and bringing like the critical thinking, and like how do you from not necessarily an analytical standpoint, I don't think, but like how do you from my perspective with like my acting experience as that grows and everything, and yours with the cinematographic experience, and as that grows, and we're gonna be coming at it from both of our own.
Yeah, I come from like you said, your love for acting and your craft that you're working on, that is acting, and mine is the behind the scenes, the how to put a movie together, the filmmaking aspect of it, which could be directing, cinematography, editing, because those are things that I work. That's my job. That's what I do right now for a living, is a lot of editing, and I definitely want to indulge more into directing and cinematography, proper cinematography, not just grabbing my camera and making random videos for Instagram, but like actual like compositions and exposures and all of that. But yeah, I'll be coming in from that aspect of movies, and the filmmaking aspect, which I find very fascinating. So combined together, I mean, we'll just be talking about movies.
We'll be dissecting and breaking down movies. And speaking of, from an actual acting standpoint, for how the Glass Onion pulls things together. It's funny because you, like with Daniel Craig's character Blanc, he has this whole breakdown scene where he goes back through basically the movie and lists
this
off
at the very end.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that I haven't seen yet.
I don't know. You might have seen this part where he lists off everything that like Miles has done.
Oh yeah, I think that's the part where I ended up falling asleep, was in the middle of that.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, he goes back through and he's like this man's an idiot. Like,
oh yeah,
he's making up words.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a very interesting point in the movie where he is saying those things, and I'm like, I didn't even pick up on that.
I know that's
because he calls the Aegean Sea some Ionian Sea instead of Aegean
the
Sea,
Aegean Sea,
and some other random words.
And and it's funny because like they mention there in Greece, and it's just like, I mean, granted, my geographical knowledge is, I would have not sat there and been like,
yeah, but
wait, that was the wrong sea. Yeah, but like he's legit making up words.
Yeah,
and I'm so engrossed in the movie,
which means it's a good movie.
Which means it's a good movie that you just I have to admit, like I just missed it.
Yeah,
he made up fake words.
Yeah,
and I sat there and I was like,
yeah, that makes sense.
I 100% acted like,
bro, I had subtitles on too.
No, you have no excuse that I listened and I didn't have subtitles. But again, internally, I was like, yeah, I know what that word means. Totally. I don't know what that word means, but I was like, I get the gist of what he's going for. No. And then he goes back through and he's like, he's making up words.
Yeah.
And when he goes through and like lists these words off, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
These aren't real words.
No. Yeah.
And you're just like, it's like from an acting standpoint, like it's so subtle. And that's, I mean, the subtext of what he's doing, and like Edward Norton's surprise when he sees Andy, Andy, the very first time on the beach.
Oh,
you first log it because they describe it as like, oh, they were partners, and so this is gonna be awkward, and so his surprise, and you're like, oh yeah, it's now awkward, and then you find out later, and he's like, oh shit, his surprise is because
he killed her.
He should be dead.
Yeah,
and now she's standing in front of her, and so it's like, you look back at that, and then like when you go back through and you like see his face, and like the facial expressions that Edward Norton's pulling off there. and you look at it, you're like, oh, you're like in the moment, right? Like his facial expressions were.
I have 24 minutes remaining of the movie, so I was just checking.
God,
yeah,
damn.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Even though I was the one who was like, we should watch Knives Out for this episode.
Oh, I was fully planning on watching it anyways, but yeah, I'm glad we did it for this episode. But yeah, so when you see his facial expressions, you get that feeling of like, this seems a little bit more intense than just two partners. Like I don't know, for me watching
I didn't pick up on that at all.
For me watching it that very first time, like, there wasn't just surprise on Edward Norton's face. It was surprise mixed with, it was like whether it was like fear or disdain. Yeah. You went back and looked at it. I mean, like, and remembering seeing it the first time when they introduce Annie on the island and he like sees her. What you would expect from somebody, like, they had a falling out and they may not be on the best of terms, but he invited her here. Yeah. And so it's like, initially when he seems surprised, there's like that initial feeling of, you're like, oh, did he invite her here? And but the look you see in his face is a bit more than just surprised. It's like he doesn't cover it up as quickly as it would have been like, oh, you're here. That's surprising. But it's like he invited all of his friends. He's so happy, and then Andy shows up. But he
invited her too, though. But he did kill her as well. That's
yeah. Which is, or he had sent out the invitation. And then she had sent the email with the letter.
The letter was
then
after.
he killed her.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is like, that's that part of that surprise of like, if he sent the like, if he didn't kill her, the look of surprise on his face would have changed a lot faster. And it's so subtle, but it's like when you think about it and you see it the first time, like for the very first time watching it through without knowing that he had killed Andy, you get this feeling inside where you're like, man, that's more than just surprised to see her. You're like, you get this feeling, you're like, I don't know what it is, but I know that there's something else there. And from an acting standpoint, it's like, I mean, granted, you have the full script, so Edward Norton knows I killed her. But he does such an amazing job of pulling off that, like,
that look,
that connection, right? Of like, you make that connection later on, and then it's the same kind of thing when we were talking about the menu of like these subtle things that really bring the movie together, where it's like, it's just that subtle instance of like, you see Edward Norton's face and you're like, there's something else there. You're like, there's something else left on there that like, that's more than just your general surprise that she's here, even though you sent an invite. It's like being surprised that she's here when you didn't think she was going to show up and you're trying to be nice. Like, that's one thing. That's a different kind of like, oh, I'm surprised. But his face initially is. I
have to go back and look at that because I missed that.
Yeah,
I definitely didn't catch on that.
It's subtle enough, but it's like it's like a oh. Yeah, it's like a little bit longer of a surprise where you're like, okay, oh hey, there was something else there, and then you don't know what it is, but you're like, it like starts to feed that seed in your mind. You're like, what else is going on here? And then as you find out later that he's actually killed,
that makes sense,
Andy, then you all of these things suddenly fit and fall into place. You're like, and from an acting standpoint, like it happens all throughout the movie that a bunch of these different characters do these same things, like Whiskey's disdain for Duke. And when you see Duke's disdain of like seeing the two of them,
Miles and Whiskey.
It's like they cut out portions of that full story. And so it's like you get those actors' reactions, and you think it's one thing, and you think it's such a visceral reaction to something that you're like, man, that kind of, you're like, I guess I get it, but that's a really strong reaction to that. And then you find out later and these other pieces fall into place and you're like, oh my God, they're reacting to that, and that's a totally rational, normal reaction to that.
Yeah.
Like seeing how pissed off Duke was, seeing Miles and Whiskey together in the bed.
But he wasn't pissed out about that she was with him in bed. He was pissed off by the fact that his friend wasn't gonna put him on his big network.
Yes.
And that he was
shitting on him.
Yeah.
And exactly. he was like, that's what he was mad about.
Yeah.
He had told Whiskey
to go.
He was like, hey babe, I need you to do this for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah,
because it's like those reactions are similar, right? But you're like, if you look at it through the one lens of like, you're like, oh, it built, and it adds to that full story of the plot of like motive, bam,
yeah.
But you're like, from the acting standpoint, you look at it and you're like, man, when you see it through the one lens of like, I mean, you're like, that kind of seems like an overreaction. It's like, that's your lifelong friend and your girlfriend. You're like, yeah, I'd be pissed, but I wouldn't be pissed to the extent of like that level of pissed.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, after it comes out later, you're like, oh, he's being two-timed by his best friend and is betrayed while at the same time has done all this shady shit for him.
Yeah.
And now this is happening. And you're like, oh, this makes more sense now.
Damn, I definitely did not pay that much attention to all that detail. It's interesting. Hearing you say all those things. I mean, I'm connecting the dots now, but some of it, yeah, like I didn't think of that when I was watching it.
It's like, it's such subtle things. It's like, I was only picking up on it because I was looking for it. Like when I was watching it, I was looking for like, okay, I was looking at the acting. And was like,
when I was watching it, I was literally just trying to figure out who the killer was. I was trying to play the game.
I was jumping back and forth in the game of like.
Interesting. All right, we have been going for an hour and change, but before we end this,
have we actually?
Yeah, we're sitting at 1 hour and 16 right now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know.
Like, all right,
it doesn't feel like it.
No, it doesn't.
No, not at all. But before we sign off, I think, do you want to talk about the names for the podcast? Do we want to? I mean, we started the podcast by saying that we're calling it Storytime right now, or
Storytime in the Meantime.
Storytime in the Meantime.
Is this the meantime part?
This is the meantime part.
All right.
So like, I asked people on Instagram for suggestions. We
asked 100 random people.
Well,
and these are the top 10 answers.
Yes, only 10 replied. And these were some of them that I sent to you, and you said that there was something to work with here.
There was something to work with here. I like some of these.
And I don't know. The top two for me right now, for some reason, is Cinema Hour or Storytime.
I was a fan of Cinema Hour. Oh, assuming.
Yeah, just Cinema Hour.
Yeah. I was a fan of Cinema Hour, assuming we run for an hour.
I mean, hour and change.
Hour change. Yeah. It's an hour, give or take. It depends. It doesn't matter. I'm also a fan of Storytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I like Storytime because at the end of the day, movies are stories.
Yeah.
And we're definitely we're storytellers, and we're probably going to talk sometimes, maybe not just about movies, maybe our personal stories as well.
Yeah.
And who we are, and also talk about the actual stories of like the script.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Or like plays or whatever. Cause like you do plays like as an actor.
On occasion. Yeah.
On occasion. But yeah, you have been part of some plays.
They're in the book.
Yeah. So it's just, I think Storytime right now is definitely my top runner, but I wanted to ask you, and also maybe
they're not gonna. They have no say in this.
They have no say. Okay, you have no say. Apparently, you have no say. I was trying to be polite.
We love your opinions, and
we love your support for sure.
We're just gonna disregard what you have to say.
For sure, support our podcast, please, pretty please.
No, I refuse to beg.
Yeah, I'm not begging, but I'm definitely try to support us by liking, subscribing, and sharing the first episode. It would mean a lot to me and Chase. We're trying to build this. Just we're friends. We've been friends for 6-7 years now. And we wanted to venture off our friendship into something we both are kind of passionate about and are working towards making a career in. So yeah, if you liked this episode, share it with people, like it, subscribe. That would help a lot. And
and be sure to tune in again.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
We're just trying to share some good stories.
Exactly.
Because it's what we love doing.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
All right.
Peace out, boys.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your holidays.
Yeah. Happy holidays. If this comes out after the holidays, I hope you had a good holiday.
I hope you had a good holiday.
Yeah.
Oh, next week we are aiming for another movie. I mean, we rambled.
We rambled. We'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peace.
First. All right.
It didn't cut off. No power.
It didn't cut off. Beautiful.